Senate President Godswill Akpabio says in the new tax laws there are no discrepancy in the gazetted copies made available. And Governor Ademola Adeleke is accused, the former governor of Osun State and the Minister of Blue Economy, of masterminding what he described as the paralysis of local council in the state. Is asking President Tinubu to call him to order. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale right here in our Abuja studio. Let me bring you up to speed with some of the stories that are making the rounds. So the governor of Osun State has come out and accused the former governor, Boyega Oyetola, and the accusation borders on the situation in the state as far as the local council elections are concerned. The Osun State government has renewed that attack on the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Boyega Oyetola, over the lingering local government crisis in the state, calling on President Bola Tinubu to intervene. In a strongly worded press statement issued in Osogbo earlier today, Governor Ademola Adeleke is accusing the former governor of masterminding what he described as a paralysis of local councils, insisting that APC chairman sacked by the courts lacked a legal mandate to remain in office. The governor maintained that the tenure of the affected chairman expired in 2025 and cannot be extended under the Constitution of under the Constitution of Nigeria or the Supreme Court precedents. Governor Adeleke also alleged illegal handling of local government funds, hardship for council workers and traditional rulers, and continued disobedience to court judgments, warning that those involved will be held accountable. He further urged the minister to stop dragging the presidency into the crisis and allow lawful elected officials to operate at the grassroots. So much to talk about tonight. There are a lot of revelations which we'll be bringing to you when people pen their life in public service in a book. And there are a lot of things that we need to learn from. Tonight, I'm bringing one person who documented his experience in public service. What this means, there are a lot of people who are already talking about this. But we need to check out some of your political roundup stories and we'll begin that conversation.
The Senate has disclosed plans to hold an executive briefing over the December 25 United States airstrikes on terrorist targets in Sokoto State, following concerns raised by Senator Abdullahi on the alleged exclusion of the National Assembly from discussions preceding the operation. Raising the issue under Order 42 during plenary, Senator Ningi, an opposition lawyer representing Bauchi Central, argued that the airstrikes amounted to an infringement of Nigeria's territorial integrity and should have involved legislative oversight. He maintained that the National Assembly, constitutionally mandated to play a role in matters of national security and foreign military engagements, was not consulted before the strikes were carried out. Some civil society organizations have held a peaceful protest at the entrance of the National Assembly in Abuja, calling on the Senate to urgently pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The protesters, drawn from various election monitoring groups, say the delay in passing the amendment poses a serious threat to credible elections ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking to journalists, the CSOs stressed that key provisions in the amendment, especially those relating to electronic transmission of results, internal party democracy, and election transparency, are critical to strengthening Nigeria's democratic process. The House of Representatives will tomorrow commence debate on the 2026 Appropriation Bill, a critical legislative exercise that sets the economic and fiscal plan of the federal government for the year. This was announced at today's plenary, with lawmakers emphasizing the importance of the budget in driving national growth, funding key sectors, and addressing the immediate socio-economic needs of Nigerians. A former deputy governor of Ondo State and the People's Democratic Party's candidate in the November 2024 governorship election, Agbola Ajayi formally rejoined the ruling party at his hometown, Akpoyi Ward 2, in Eshe-Odo local government area. Ajayi described his return as a move back to his original political home, which would enable him actively participate in the party's affairs and developments in the state. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has reaffirmed his administration's commitments to enhancing housing welfare for police personnel across the country. The IGP disclosed this when he received the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Shehu Oshodi, and his management team on a courtesy visit to the force headquarters in Abuja. The IGP reaffirmed that the welfare of police personnel remains a top priority under his leadership, emphasizing that access to affordable and decent housing is key to boosting the morale, efficiency, and overall well-being of police officers.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. So, the Senate is defending the tax laws over the accusation, the controversies of discrepancy between the copies that left the National Assembly and the gazetted copies, and the ones made, the copies made later available to the public. According to the Senate President, any document circulating outside the officially gazetted or published copies is not the accepted copy, and he said that there are no discrepancy in the copies that now have now become official copies of the law. The Senate President was talking about these at plenary earlier today. Take a listen to him.
So the 4 acts are ready and gazetted and signed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and certified by the Clerk of the National Assembly to avoid confusion. So every senator is expected to go home with one today. And then those who are not here will distribute them directly to the senators. This act should not be given to any other person. It must be given by the Clerk of the Senate and certified by the Clerk of the National Assembly to avoid any confusion. Copies of this will be made available to all senators, certified by the Clerk of the National Assembly, the 4 copies of the acts. And this is totally in compliance with what happened in the 2 chambers. No adulteration, nothing. So, I mean, at this stage now, you can feel bold enough to discard anything that is to the contrary, knowing that it is not what the President signed and it does not represent what you passed.
Well, you had the Senate President there. So tonight, you know, when you hear or see political memoirs, often review not just decisions taking, but experiences, deep ones at that. It also reveals the values behind those decisions and the opportunities given. Tonight on the program, it's going to be a rare insider's account of power, loyalty, and public service. A former minister and a spokesperson of the ADC, Balaji Abdullahi, in The Loyalist, a new book he launched yesterday, offers a candid account of his years in public service, navigating loyalty, power, and personal conviction. The Loyalist, a memoir of service and sacrifice, was launched in Abuja with heavyweights in Nigeria's politics converging on the nation's capital to attend and see the exposure of the new book. It's a personal reflection on governance, political loyalty, and the cost of public office in Nigeria. The former minister, Balaji Abdullahi, and the spokesperson of the ADC, is our guest tonight on the program. Many thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And congratulations, you know.
Thank you.
When I see people put out, I won't call this an academic work, but I will call it a creative exercise being put on display for the benefit of the Nigerian people, because whatever experience anybody has in public service is also for those who are ahead and those who plan to learn from. So congratulations on this. There are a lot to learn, and some of the experience I've had to bring an interception of some of the accounts that you have made somehow. When you title The Loyalist, the loyalty is to who?
Well, I mean, thank you very much, Shil. The Incidentally, the original title of the book is not The Loyalist. The original title of the book is In the Shadow of the Godfather. The original idea was to explore that relationship between a godfather, someone that's like your leader, your mentor, then you on the other side following that person, to explore how such relationship unfolds and use it to examine what I call the psychology of subordination. But over time, and it took 6 years to complete this work, not because it takes 6 years to write a book, because of so many considerations in between that also relates to. But in the end, I felt that was more important, given the diversity of the stories, the complexity of the story, which more or less unfolded as a recent history of Nigeria political space, more than my personal account. So I felt to give it a different perspective, and then that's why I titled it as The Loyalist. In the end, you will find that what I'm saying in essence here is that we can all be loyalists, but what you see play out where you see a leader will make his most trusted ally governor or something, then within few months the relationship collapses. Why does that happen? And that when you stand for certain principles, what kind of price do you expect to pay?
You're one person that I know very well, and I could summarize your history pretty simple. And largely part of your political journey, you've done under the tutelage of one person that you have described in several chapters of this book. And from a journalist to becoming someone who had been invited to serve in his stead as an advisor to a commissioner, a controversial one. And I remember one of those days that you went out as a commissioner for education. And you went out as early as 7:30 in the morning, going to some schools, and some principals and teachers were suspended because they came late to school. You became the talk of the town, and you tried to put some reforms in place. You wanted to be governor. You wanted to be senator. You became a minister. And you climbed into national acclaim because of your ministerial position. A lot of people who had known you, interestingly, we are from the same state. So I know so much about the Kwara State politics. But in all of this, the man that is being inferred here as the godfather is Bukola Saraki, isn't it?
Absolutely. You can say that.
How would you describe your experience with Bukola Saraki?
Well, I can say this, and some people may have their own opinion. Like every human being, no human being is one-dimensional. He's one of the most remarkable human beings I've worked with in terms of his focus. When he sets himself a mission or an agenda or a goal, regardless of whatever it is, and you may not agree with the agenda, you may not agree with the goal, but once he sets it as an agenda, he has this laser focus, and he keeps driving it. It's relentless until he gets it done. I learned a lot from him in that regard, in terms of putting in the shift, the hard work, and all that. So he's extremely hardworking. I learned that in the 4 years that I worked as his aide. At a point, it became almost like competition between me and him on who could work harder, because I was his special advisor on policy, and I got to see. But I think national politics took him away. And I had the opportunity to also watch his evolution, and into becoming someone who got preoccupied with politics. I think he's someone that, left alone, he will make an excellent administrator. Excellent administrator anytime. I don't know many people who have the ability to sit in a room among highly technical people and cut through all the flaws and focus on what really matters. He has that genius about him. So, and this also in a way a tribute to that, you know. But a lot of things happen, you know, in the evolution of his own politics, you know, that led to the kind of situation that we eventually found ourselves.
I mean, I know quite a few people who served with under Bukola Saraki, and it does look like if people are talking about those who have eyes for quality, those who have, I know Bukola Saraki is one of them. Given all of the flaws that just like any human being will have, he's got very smart way of identifying talent. And I mean, yourself inclusive. And most of you are also in the team of those who served in his first term. Most of those who served as, he gave in to his father, being his political godfather also. Majority of the commissioners who served with him were half of his father's faction or team worked with him, and he had a lot of you who served as special advisors.
Absolutely.
And eventually, in the second term, now became his ministers and right-hand man. Akintoba Fatigun, the former...
We were like his de facto cabinet.
Absolutely.
In the first
and some
term.
of you served as special advisors, very
exactly.
close to him. And even the man who became governor in the end, after him, was the commissioner for finance, his trusted allies and all whatnot. But something strike me here. In the chapter 5, chapter 6 specifically, where you talked about your ambition, and you had your mindset out on what you wanted, but it looks like the Godfather wanted you to be something else, and you thought that, well, you could be SSG if you could be anything, but he told you that you should go back as commissioner. He said, rather being commissioner, I'd rather go and do a Harvard course that I wanted to do. And he thought that was you jumping ship. And you categorically told him that that's not jumping ship. How disappointing could it be? You thought you could be a good governor of Kwara State. That did not happen. And you thought that you could have been a good candidate for the party at the time, but against the run of play, Bukola Saraki didn't pick you. How disappointing could that be?
It's not about him not picking me, or it's not about me being disappointed. I don't consider myself to be the best. I believe times and chances and opportunities come. And I believe that if I don't become governor, I can be useful in other respects as well. But what I made clear here is the main thing about loyalty is that if I'm giving it to you, I'm also expecting it from you, right? Like Herbert Spencer, whom I quoted here, said, he said, loyalty is a two-way traffic. If I'm asking it of you, I'm getting it. You are getting it from me, you know. And if you read here that when I went to, in the course of writing my earlier book, I visited Pastor Tunde Bakari's church to interview him, and he said something that I found quite profound. He said, "Don't treat as optional people who treat you as priority," right? So I can understand. I can make excuses to say, okay, he has to juggle so many people. But the reality of it is that when a relationship is built on certain principles and you feel that principle is not being followed, reciprocal,
again,
then you feel so it's not a fact of being governor.
The inference of disappointment that I read here. Is that some of your colleagues, and the man who you eventually served again as Commissioner of Education, was a colleague in cabinet, cabinet, and you are that, you didn't want to go back as Commissioner. And other than being an SSD, the explanation when you got back to town was that he wanted a technocrat.
A technocrat,
And at the end of the day, you wonder if there's a bureaucrat or a technocrat, as you said.
No, but that was not the point. I think the issue of the governorship came much later.
But the point I'm making is that you had inferred here that if you look at the array of people whom he had given a go-ahead to go and run for governor, and you were not...
They were politicians.
They were politicians. And you thought that, look, why was it... I mean, you've thought about your service, your loyalty, whether or not he didn't pay off.
No, I didn't expect that I would be given the opportunity to contest an election at that material time. And that was why at the end of my assignment as commissioner, the only thing I was thinking was to go to Harvard for my Mason fellowship, which I had already paid for, by the way. So that was my plan, to go for that fellowship. Then he said to me, okay, then I felt that when my friend became the governor, I felt I could support his work and become the SSG. That's the Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed. But the leader said, no, I wanted you to go back as commissioner. He even asked me if you wanted commissioner for works or commissioner for finance. I said, no, I would rather go back to commissioner for education to complete the work I was doing. Because for me, it's never about the money or the contract or anything. So that was not the point of disappointment. The question is about the search for identity. When you say that the reason you did not support me to contest any election is because I wasn't a politician, then I said, okay, I could be SSG. Then you said I wasn't a technocrat. Then the question then becomes, who am I?
The identity of, and it's a perception in his head about what you represented with him. But then you went ahead and you went on. Later on, you still wanted to be governor. Later on, you became a minister. But in your own experience, in all of these gamut of about almost 20 years or so, what would you say stood out for you as a lesson in public service?
One of the most important lessons that I would say, and which is one of the main reasons for writing this book, is that in public service, politics trumps everything. How good you are becomes secondary. How competent you are becomes secondary. Whether you are getting results or not is secondary. I don't know if it's like that in all climes, but what I have learned is, in my 20 years experience, is that politics trumps everything. If your politics is not right, okay, I'll give you an example. At the point that I was being sacked as Minister of Sports, I could claim that I was one of the best ministers of sports at the time. At the time, we just won the AFCON. We were African champions in all categories of athletics. We were building the high performances. So we had all that going. But when the time came to sack me, none of that mattered. And why was I sacked? I explained it in this book. I mean, the president was going to, President Jonathan was going to Kwara to campaign, and that was the time Dr. Saraki left the PDP to join the APC. So I was expected as the most senior political appointee from Kwara to take over the PDP structure and fund it and lead the president's campaign. And when we got to Kwara, everyone else was attacking Dr. Saraki. Everybody was attacking him, and I was expected as the most senior political office holder from the state to also join and attack him. And I said, no, I wouldn't do that. Because Saraki was my benefactor. It's not my enemy. Why would I do it? And I was very clear, because if Dr. Saraki has asked me to attack President Jonathan at that time, I would have said no. So it was a matter of principle, right? And that was why when I was sacked, I didn't feel bad, because it would be hypocritical to believe you could stand for something and there will be no price to pay for it.
And the words of Babatunde Fashola probably resonated. That may your loyalty not be tested.
Mine was tested. Mine was tested
in a painful way.
No, mine was tested several times. That's just one occasion, because
there are
different accounts here. At the point you see, the thing about that kind of relationship, of having someone in front of you that's your leader, that everyone acknowledges to be your godfather, is that after a while, people stop seeing you, right? Because you don't really, like I said in the book, I was a minister, right? The minister was Dr. Saraki. I was a minister. So they stopped seeing me, right? So you
were still in the shadow of the big man.
I was in the shadow. So the way people related with me in government at every time depended on the nature of their relationship with Dr. Saraki. So at the end of the day, you find that there is always a price to pay, because you find yourself caught in between. You are being asked, to take sides in a battle that you hardly understand most of the time.
Do you have any regrets?
No, absolutely none. I don't have any regret. Alhamdulillah, since I left office, I've not had them. I've not had any reason not to have something to do. I had my own occupation and I had my own training, and I could always fall on that. If I have any regret at all, is that a relationship that started 20 years ago that was going to go somewhere as a result of certain, and I could say we're both responsible for it. At a point, I felt that my leader felt that I became entitled, right? And at the point, I also felt that I could no longer trust him, because he was someone I trusted instinctively, So that relationship broke down. And like I said at the end of the book, sometimes to save a relationship, you have to have a divorce, in order so that you can continue to survive and have and respect one.
Is the divorce still subsisting?
Oh, of course. Divorce is subsisting because when a relationship is built on trust and that trust is broken, it's no longer there, then it's difficult. You
are not in communication again with Dr. Saraki at the moment.
In communication, if we have a need to talk, we talk and all that. I still regard him as my leader. I can never say anything negative about him. In public, I would never say anything negative about him because he has helped me and all that. But the point I'm making is, and that's part of the reason I had to leave, because when you can no longer instinctively trust your leader, then there's no point to continue to,
All right. Would you like to be a godfather one day, considering the principles and some of the pillars on being one? And there are just a few godfathers that have survived the storm over the years in this country, politically speaking.
Well, what I said yesterday at the launch is that I don't think there's anything inherently wrong in being a godfather.
So godfatherism is not a negative.
No, I don't think it's inherently negative. The problem, however, is that it has to be built on something that is transcendental. It has to be built on something that is bigger than the two parties involved. At this time, and that's why you see whether it's Kano or Kaduna or anywhere else where someone has a godfather and has helped someone to power, it's because such relationship is based on the self-interests of the two parties involved. So the day we begin to create a situation where such relationship is based on ideals, on principles, on philosophy, and we are able to anchor it on something that we both believe in, then then that kind of relationship will continue to survive.
Let me take you up quickly before we wrap up on your party, African Democratic Congress. We saw the announcement of 50-member Wise Men and Women Policy and Manifesto Committee. This we understand that it's been approved by the National Working Committee of the party, and that committee is to be headed by Chief John Odige Oyegu, and we have the likes of Professor Patu Tomi to serve as deputy chairman and Salihu Lukman as secretary. And so a long list of these persons. So these persons are supposed to draft a constitution for the party. Is that a manifesto? Is that it?
Yeah, they are supposed to work on the policy of the party. Part of the questions we've been repeatedly asked, how is ADC different? What is the brand differentiation that will make Nigerians see that this is different? So part of it is the work of this committee. They are to look at, people have been asking, so what alternative are you proposing? If you say this is not being done well, so what are you going to do differently? So the business of this 50-man woman committee is to give an answer to what ADC would do differently, that we will communicate to Nigerians that this is why you should work with us, because this is what we're doing that's going to be different from what the ruling party has done in the last in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen quite a very interesting number names here. I'm seeing the names of the likes of Dr. Usman Bugaje, Inko Votoyo. I've seen Professor Anthony Kila. I've seen Professor Chidi Odinkalu. I've seen Yemi Adamolekun here, Jumoke Olawiyi. I've seen quite a number of people who I'm not sure they are politicians or members of your party. Okay. Are all these people members of your party?
No. Okay, that's the point. That's why I say it's a policy committee, and the idea, if you will recall, the foundational process for the coalition is to engage with the civil society. If you remember at Sheraton Hotel, we had this seminar that we brought everybody in the civil society and the political opposition politics together to have conversation about what is going on in the country at this time. And a lot of things happened that day, a lot of things were said. Now, forming this, putting together this policy team means it also gives us opportunity to engage with some of these partners and Nigerians who were very clear and articulate and eloquent about a lot of things that could be done differently. So we felt as a party, politics, like someone said, politics is too serious to be left to politicians. You know, so it's an opportunity for us to bring in some of these eminent citizens and competent citizens to contribute to the development of our policy. So economy is central to everything we are doing. Human development is central to everything we are doing. Infrastructure is central to everything we are doing. So you cannot expect perhaps that there will always be more knowledge outside the party.
But did you say the consent of these people before you make the announcement?
Oh, I believe so. I believe so. We will not publish anybody's name without seeking their consent.
So they are basically think tank. They are not necessarily members of your party.
No, they are not necessarily members of our party. And we are expecting that they'll be able to contribute in a conversation. Because when you say political parties lack ideology, political parties lack policy backbone, now we are bringing some of these people in to say, okay, come and contribute to the conversation with politicians. They can bring their technical expertise in, and those of us in the party can say, oh, politically speaking, this could be costly. We cannot, so that's what happened. It's not. We are not saying that they are members of our party.
What ideology would they be drafting that policy on?
You are going back to the last conversation.
No. I'm just asking because these people will be working based on a certain ideology.
Yes.
What would that be?
I don't know what you mean.
They've not gotten a brief.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. When you say they will be working based on certain ideology,
don't they have a brief or something?
They will have their brief.
Okay.
They will have their brief, and the cardinal in all of that will be that how will the ADC improve the lives and livelihood of Nigerians? How we want to build a policy system, a policy framework that put ordinary Nigerians at the center of everything that we will do.
Balaji Abdullahi, is that what
you want me to say that whether we will be socialist or be capitalist?
What is your party? What is your party?
I told you the last time that we don't.
So people don't see you as a coming together of confused people who just want to grab power.
Well, I mean that's your opinion. You are saying it
I'm
now.
asking.
I'm not happy to say that.
People don't see you. It's a question.
Okay.
I'm asking you to establish what your party is so that people don't see you.
I've said it very clear. And what you are trying to do is to goad me into giving you a label. And I'm saying I'm not going to give you a label. Our party, you can use your label. But what I've told you,
have one?
It is very clear what I'm saying. Yeah. And if you allow me to explain as briefly as I can, then it will be clear to everyone except you who seem to have a mindset about this. And what is clear is that we want to build a party that put the welfare and interest of Nigerians first in everything we do. If our party is going to say, okay, let's remove subsidy, for example, the first question we'll be asking ourselves, how does this hurt the people? How does it help the people? How can the people cope with this? So we are building and that's one of the major briefs we are going to give this policy team. How do we ease the burden on the people? This burden is too much. What Nigerians have had to endure in the last 3.5 years is too much. Nigerians are reaching a breaking point. What policies can you come up with that can ease these pains of Nigerians? And that is what ADC is going to do.
I'm happy that you have quite a lot of professors here. I'm not one. I'm just an inquisitive person on the line of my job. And what I know that they will ask you is the identity. There is nothing, no institution and no personality, no human being who cannot identify itself can live successfully. The biggest position any human being can have is to have an identity. So once you don't have an identity,
our
it's a problem.
identity is the African Democratic Congress.
Of what political ideology?
Yeah.
That's the identity of every world over. There is always one. Because we put your feet to fire.
Let me make you happy.
You are saying that the ruling party is confused about what they are doing.
What is the ideology? Let me ask you, what is the ideology of APC?
I'm not a member of the APC.
I mean,
but you were,
my party as
you
well.
were one of those.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about here. I'm not talking for APC.
Yeah.
I'm talking for the African Democratic Congress.
But that's
and now, what I
you.
will tell you,
what is the DNA of your party?
Hang on a second. What I will tell you is that we have put this team together. We have given them a brief.
What is the brief saying? The
brief is develop a policy, a governance policy for the African Democratic Congress. What can the African Democratic Congress do differently? And what we're trying to do, hang on, what we're trying to do is to create a political party that is able to authorize or deauthorize people elected on its platform. We are trying to create a political party that does not leave it to the discretion of anybody elected on its platform to decide what to do with power or not what to do. ADC is going to say this is what ADC stands for. If you are a governor elected on the platform of ADC, this is what we expect you to do.
Those are
local government chairman,
administrative pillars.
Exactly.
I'm talking about
now, that's what I'm
which will inform your policy
hang on,
and governance ideas.
Hang on a second. We are going to launch what we call the Orange Book, which contains the ethical and governance principles of the African Democratic Congress. We call it the Orange Book, right? In that book, you are not going to see, oh, we are left of the center, which is what you want me to say. We are right of the center, we are capitalists, we are social. You're not going to find all those labeling there. But we are very clear that we need, as a party, an ethical principle that will guide everything we do, including what kind of gifts you are allowed to accept or not to accept. What kind of gift you can keep without declaring? What kind of gifts you must declare once you accept it to be sure that you live above board? These are all the things that is contained in our. So it's a whole new
I wish you and your party
politics.
the very best. So what has troubled me as a journalist is the fact that we've got a bunch of political parties in Nigeria who speak to Nigerians in nothingness. Nothingness in the concept of we don't identify, and that's why they can move easily. And that's why for us here on this job, just a moment, sir. I mean, when you were on this side, you were very critical. I mean, you cover politics, and you know what it means when you are unable to identify a political party. It's difficult to hold them to account. And that's a problem that we have.
I don't want to charge you.
When we are not able to hold you politicians to account on what you believe in.
I don't want to charge you of being parochial, but you are beginning to sound to me as you are parochial.
I mean,
because what is clear?
You know, what is clear?
No, it's not blackmail. You know what is clear?
When you're uncomfortable with it.
If you be kind to let me explain what I mean, and I didn't mean it as an insult to you. You know, I have the word of respect for you and what you do. What I mean is that we don't have to have a tag. In Nigerians don't, and I gave you an example the last time. The All Progressives Congress, APC, the ruling party, call themselves a social welfareist party. But you will agree with me that some of the policies they've implemented, especially the last 3.5 years, will make Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan feel embarrassed that they have been outperformed. I'm talking about, I'm talking about these were like prophets of neoliberal policies and market-facing policies. You know, so they've put them to shame by what they have done. And yet they will claim that they're a social welfare party. And that's why I said all this labeling in the end doesn't mean anything. What matters in the end is what parties do. And we are itemizing clearly what we are going to do. We're not going to give in to all these ideological labeling. If you look at what we do, then you can come to say, okay, given all this that they say they are going to do, then this is how we want to categorize them. And good luck to you.
Malam Balaji Abdullahi, thank you so much. Congratulations again on the loyalists. I will forever disagree on the principles that make our politics world over. In Nigeria, it then becomes a different kettle of fish. Maybe we'll have to design political science, especially for Nigeria. But thank you so much indeed.
Well, you have the last say, no problem. You have the last say, no problem. I give you the last word.
Thank you so much indeed. We'll take a break, everyone. But when we return, is your data safe? We have a data privacy in a country as this. Is my data safe? That's one question you should be asking yourself. And those who are regulators will be asking the question. Dr. Vincent Olatunji is the chair of the National Data Protection Commission. We'll be speaking with us next on the program. Namaste. Thank you so much everyone for being with us on the program. So let's quickly switch gears now on the program. We'll focus on data privacy, digital rights and the future of governance in Nigeria. Our guest is the National Commissioner and the CEO of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatoji. Interestingly, today is Data Privacy Day. Thanks so much, Dr. Vincent Olatoji, for joining us tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Good to see you. I'm guessing that there is a global focus for Data Privacy Day, and Nigeria also has its own focus, isn't it?
Yes, the kind of foundation, January 28th every year, has been declared as the Global Privacy Day. And this started as far back as 2006. And consistently, every year, it's been celebrated globally. And the theme for this year is for you as data subject, take control of your data. How do you take control of your data that you have given out to data controllers and processors? And on our part in Nigeria, we now derived our own national theme, which resonates with the global theme. And our theme for this year in Nigeria is privacy in the era of emerging technologies. We now look at the issues of ethics, trust, and innovation, which you need to balance. Yes, we want emerging technologies, we want to deploy them, we want to use them. How about the place of privacy? How do you now balance it to guarantee trust, to ensure that ethical issues are properly taken care of, and also develop innovation in the country?
And perhaps, Dr. Latin, you see what the UK government has said using X and how Grok, which is the AI tool on X, people now will ask Grok to remove people's clothes and put a bikini on them. And the UK government has come, they've discussed it in Parliament to say, no, this is not right. People are being now, the naked people on social media. And you see a lot of things that AI is being used for. The question is that, is data, because we've seen data breach in Nigeria, where a commission or an agency of government has said, we had a problem with our data database and all of that. An average Nigerian doesn't trust the Nigerian data system as a safe haven for their own data and privacy.
Yes, you may be right. And that's the whole essence of having a law. When you didn't have a law that can guarantee that trust, that trust will not be there. Whoever owns your data, whoever has your data can do whatever they like with it. But starting from when we had this law, signed by President Balaji Abdullahi, GCFR, the 12th of June 2023, the narratives have changed. Things are getting better, that even at the level of the international community, they are now looking at Nigeria as a country that is ready for digital business. It's a country that has a law that can protect the rights, the freedom and interests of citizens. And so many Nigerians are now beginning to understand, so I have a right as a data subject. Somebody cannot just take my data and use it as he or she likes it. I have the right to say, no, you can't take my data. You can't use my data in this manner. And if there's any unauthorized access to my data with you, that organization is in trouble. Because there's a law now that can take care of that. And there's a commission set up by the law that you can report to, and they will take it up with you immediately. So the trust angle is changing gradually. But it's a journey that we started like 3 years ago. And the good thing is that we are making progress. The situation now is completely different from the way it was 5, 10 years ago. Yes, we deploy technologies, we use technology, there is no escape from it, that's the truth. But at every point that you go online to do one thing, you are leaving your digital footprint. And we are now holding those who have this data in their custody accountable for every single data that you collect. You are held accountable. And that is what
let's hold you accountable. You are the regulator. So let's hold you accountable. Telecom, for example. Unsolicited SMS, people marketing to you, and you did not call them, you did not, they will just naturally call your line, send you messages. Is it not breach of your privacy?
Our own approach, if I may say, is that we now work with regulators in different sectors to ensure that they put in place appropriate measures to correct this. For instance, we have an MOU that is in the works with NCC that all the MNOs must obey. And all these solicited calls, SMS, they are things that we're already working to take control of. I think on the 5th of February or so, we're going to sign the MOU. There will be special regulations for the telecom sector. We are doing a lot of things with CBN. We are doing the Lottery Commission. We are doing with SPEDA, a lot of organizations like that. And gradually, we begin to see a change. And even before the regulation comes into place, most of the MNOs in Nigeria are now beginning to say, there's a regulator in data privacy that can hold them accountable. All of them, we've invited them for one thing or the other. And the truth is that things are changing. They are beginning to really sit up as, oh, so an organization actually called me to answer for things that are happening in my own ecosystem. And that is the level we are now. But now to position this strategically to ensure that even their own regulator is fully involved in what we are doing. That is why we are having MOU with some of these organizations. So the thing is,
are you able to hold government agencies accountable? I mean, the host of Nigeria's biggest data bank, maybe after INEC, had come out to say, we had a problem. There is a breach in our database. Did you hold them accountable, Dr. Olatunji?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you mention any organization in Nigeria that such a thing, where such a thing happened, I will not invite them or involve them or engage them. I can't remember anyone that such a thing happened that we do hold them accountable.
I'm asking specifically now.
Yes, be specific. I don't really know the organization you are talking
NIMSI.
about. Okay, yes.
NIMSI. There was the report about data breach within their system. Did you hold them accountable?
Absolutely. When we got that report, what we did was to write the commission, and we actually sat with them for like 4 hours. The DG, the entire management, to properly review their data processing activities, their technical measures, their organizational measures. And a lot of things that we discovered, not actual data breach. I will tell you that categorically. Not actually. There are just maybe gaps here and there, which we are fixed already. It may interest you that their staff size is about 4,000. We are about to embody them for Virtual Privacy Academy, where all the staff, even their security, their engagement, will be involved in creating awareness about data privacy and protection. Now they have a DPO, which they never had before. A lot of things that is really...
Who is a DPO?
Data Protection Officer.
Who as prescribed by the Data Protection Act.
The Data Protection Law
of 20...
Now they have. In fact, we are at the level of now having DPOs in all the states of the Federation for NIMSI. The thing is, whatever happened then, to us, it wasn't a breach. There are some gaps which they needed to address.
So are you saying that the data of Nigerian citizens is safe with NIMSI?
Absolutely.
You can categorically say.
I can say that anywhere.
Is ironclad double ensured?
Because of the kind of measures that they put in place. One, they are technical measures, and they really, really stepped up. We were in France, I think about a month ago, with some of the officials, and some of the people working with them. We know what they have done. And in terms of training for their staff, in terms of their privacy policies, a lot of things that you could do before, now at NIMSI you can't do it them anymore. Because of the kind of collaboration they have with them, telling them what to do and the right things to put in place.
So what about the foreign media enterprises, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram? They've got a lot on our data. And what are you doing? In other clients, in the US and in some other countries, they cannot operate without the strict adherence to government regulations. But in Nigeria, it doesn't look like that's the case.
It is like that. In Nigeria as of today, there is no tech giant or social media platform that can operate in Nigeria without adhering to the provisions of the law. I can say that to you anywhere.
And
the truth is
you have checked them for
them,
data privacy and citizens, data protection and digital rights of citizens.
Absolutely. There are some of them that we have actually investigated. There are some of them that we investigated. These are the gaps that we have identified. The thing is, we don't really make noise about our activities, especially in the area of investigations. What we don't want to do is that if there are issues that we have identified in your own database, we invite you, or your data processing activities, we invite you, ask questions about some of the gaps that we have identified. I will tell you, please go and do A, B, C, D to rectify this thing. It is only when you are not ready to do the right thing in Nigeria that we can now come out to issue a fine. So all of them are being held accountable now in Nigeria. And they've seen that the business environment in Nigeria has changed. The rules have changed. The law has changed. When we didn't have a law, they could do whatever they like. But now we have a law, so they don't have any choice than to comply.
You see, some of us are now victims of manipulation of AI.
Yeah.
And I've lost count. And I've petitioned the EFCC, petitioned the NSA's office, IG, and petitioned every security agency. Because what has happened to me is that people had used my image and my video, manipulated it to tell people to come and invest in things that I don't know anything about. Buy a product, sell sugarcane, and come and invest in every kind of thing. And I don't know anything about it. And the question is that people, faces, trusted people, are now victims of what right do I have? How do I protect myself? I don't know anything about some of these things, but they use my face and my name for all of these things.
The truth is, you are a public figure, and such a thing should be expected. And if it happens that maybe they use your image or your voice and everything, that is one of the powers of digital technologies. And I keep telling people that it's just like when you live your normal life, offline, there are a lot of things that will happen to you, but because it's not online, people don't know. But when you are online, you are out there. And there are some challenges too that will definitely come with you going online or do one thing or be the popular figure. Now, that is why we are talking about the thing for this year. How do you balance emerging technology, the tools that are being used to manipulate people's image, voices, and here and there, removing their clothes, even using their voices, their image and everything. Who are you holding accountable for this?
How can a Nigerian hold any, if there's a breach, how can they hold?
Report to us.
How do we reach you?
You through our social media platform, physical mails, phone numbers.
Do you have all of those?
We have all of them.
No, can you say it, or you don't have it available?
No,
now?
I don't have it.
The channel of
just go online, search for Nigeria Data Protection Commission. To bring up our Twitter account, our Facebook, our.
And you have 24/7. You have people that will attend to
24/7. They will attend to.
All right. I mean, it's interesting, Dr. Vincent Olatunji. Thank you. The EFCC a few days ago was even saying that people should be wary of how they book online. Hotels and airlines, to the extent that you are booking a ticket, but they are fraudulent sites who are posing as booking.com and all these booking sites. Is that bad? Things people are using.
That's why when you go online to doing business or purchase or whatever, you have to be very careful. You have to study the URL.
Yeah.
For instance, for security purpose, most of them will end with S, like HTTP/S or something. If you don't see that, it is not secured.
All right.
Also, most of them should have privacy policies that will state who they are, what they do, and the kind of data they collect, cookie, management. You need to really look at this, study them, for you to be able to decide if you should go ahead or to do business with them. The main word is caution.
All right.
When you are going online, check thoroughly before you give your information. That's the most important thing.
Dr. Vincent Olatunji is the chairman and the CEO of the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. Thank you so much indeed for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.